Hey guys, so what is Thrivehood, you might ask? Well, that's a good question. I'd say it's a relevant life roadmap for young men out there who want to thrive as they're maturing boldly into manhood. From the very serious to the silly, I chat about a wide variety of relatable topics that both challenge and motivate you to do what needs to be done now so you can become who you want to be later. I'm Tim Williams, and this is Thrivehood. You ever heard of Leonardo Del Vecchio? You might not have. He actually grew up as a child of a widowed mother who struggled for a long time to make ends meet, and eventually she sent him to an orphanage. Well, upon his death, he was worth an estimated $25 billion. At age 23, he opened up his very own molding shop, and he began producing and retailing prescription glasses and sunglasses for companies like Ray-Ban and Oakley. I'm sure you've heard of them. How about Michael Jordan? Everybody knows Michael Jordan, right? Six championships under his belt with the Chicago Bulls. As a teenager, coaches, that's plural, several coaches rejected him because they said he was too short. Don Wan Chang, this guy came from South Korea over to L.A. He was penniless, no formal education, spoke broken English, had a failed business. Guess what? He opened up a store called Forever 21. The guy's now worth over $3 billion. Chris Gardner grew up in poverty and even spent a year of his life as a homeless single father. At one point, he and his son spent the night in a Subway restroom. It got so bad. But guess what? He became a millionaire stockbroker over time. LeBron James, during his fourth grade, he spent 2/3 of his life without a home. They were moving consistently every few months with his mother from one apartment to the next just to survive. Jim Carrey, he had to drop out of school to support his family. At one point, I believe they were living in a van. Leonardo DiCaprio, you've heard of him. He claims that he saw great poverty, was involved in drug use, was very violent at a young age. Of course, we all know who he is now. He's worth, I think, about $29 million. Stephen King, the great author, his first book, Carrie, was rejected by 30 different publishers. He was so upset that at one point he threw the novel in the trash, and I guess his wife fished it out and encouraged him to keep going and keep going and keep going. Steve Jobs, Apple, you all know of him. His parents struggled to support him to make ends meet, and soon he was taken in by another couple, which was Paul and Carla Jobs. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that's the true story. Walt Disney, right? We all know who he is. He was fired from a newspaper because he was not imaginative enough or creative enough. Albert Einstein didn't speak until the age of 4. A number of his elementary school teachers said he's quote unquote slow. Abraham Lincoln had a bunch of life struggles, failed businesses, his girlfriend died, had a nervous breakdown, a number of people in his family passed away, numerous defeats in political elections, and of course he was shot and killed when he was president. And the list goes on and on and on. I have probably 15 or 20 other mentions, and not just men, of course, women too. So I just gave you a laundry list of men that have succeeded in life, that sort of a rags to riches story. And you've probably seen that and heard that and seen movies. And you might be saying, great, Uncle Tim, what the heck does that got to do with me, right? That has everything to do with you. Let's see. You're a human. Okay. You're alive. Okay. You're a male. Okay. You got a brain. Okay. Well, there's not a whole lot of qualifications for being successful. There's not a whole lot. It's pretty basic. It's just be here on the earth and have a somewhat of a brain. You can succeed, right? I mean, that's not a whole lot to it. So I want to make 2 quick points here before we finish out. The first one is this. Yes, this might sound like Motivational Monday, okay? You call me Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, call me Zig Ziglar. You can call me all these. I don't care. I've been called worse, I'm sure. So I don't care. If it sounds like I'm trying to encourage you and motivate you to do something, I am. That's what this is today. Get out there and do something. Move beyond where you are. There are a lot of young men that I think are stuck for a number of reasons, and they don't know as far as a career where to go or what to do. And I'm talking mainly career, but this could be any part, relationships. It could be any kind of area. It could be spiritual, psychological, mental. It could be all kinds of areas of our lives that we're stressed out and dealing with. But I just want to say that you have to do something, which is sort of leading to point number 2. And that is this: you can't steer a parked car. Right? If the car isn't moving, you can't go to wherever you want to go. If it's sitting in the parking lot, it will sit there and it will never get to its destination. All right? Until we get it moving. So here's what I'd like for you to take away today. If we're using the analogy of a car, which is, we could say, is us, here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to get the keys and put the keys in the ignition and turn the ignition. Or I guess nowadays you just push the button. All right? You get the engine started. For us and for you, that's get off your hiney. Okay? As delicately as I can say it. Get off your butt. Get off your rear end, your derriere, gluteus maximus, we can go on and on, right? That's starting the engine. And then now what we have to do is we have to put the car in gear, right? Before we go anywhere, you got to put it in gear. Now put in gear a plan. Put together a plan. What is something that I can do to begin moving forward? And step 3, when you're driving a car, what do? You give it a little gas and you start moving forward. And that's your third step, is to start moving in a direction. I feel like a couple of things are going to happen. I think one of 2 things are going to happen. I think number 1 is you're going to reach your destiny. That's sort of the goal, right? When we get in a car and we drive somewhere, we're trying to get to wherever we want to go. If you have enough determination, one conclusion or one result will be that you will succeed. You will get to where you want to go. I think another possible conclusion, and I think this happens more often than not, is that you might not end up where you were initially planning to go, but the destination that you end up finding yourself will be satisfying. Why is that? Because life happens. There's all kinds of pitfalls, stumbling blocks, all kinds of things in our way and in our path. And there are some instances where it's unavoidable. Things happen and you just will not be able to succeed in what you initially hoped and dreamed. But that doesn't mean that you give up. And that doesn't mean that the path that you're on is the wrong path. It just means there's a different path. Success is going to look different, but it still can be success. I think 1 or 2 of those things will happen. What is someone that's once said, I found out that luck comes to those who work hard, or something to that effect. I completely and totally agree with that. So the message today is, I want to motivate you. I want you to go back and listen again. Listen to these stories. Listen to these men that were told early in their life they had no shot. And then look at what the result was. Don't believe that you don't have the skills, the ability, whatever you need, the money, the resources. There is a way. There is always a way to move beyond where you are. There's never not an opportunity. That's a double negative. I shouldn't have said it that way. But you know my point. I'm trying to reiterate this to you. Please don't think that you don't have choices, that you don't have options, because you do. Because you do. And until next time, guys, stay strong.
This podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Views and opinions expressed by guests are not necessarily those of the host. Please seek the advice of a trusted adult or qualified professional on matters specific to your needs.